I mean, without confidence, you just won't be successful. I mean, you just talked earlier, or we talked earlier about brand. If you lack confidence, and part of lacking confidence is what I call lacking visibility, so people don't really know what you stand for, and if you're in a group of people, you're unlikely to be one of the ones that contribute because you might be worried about what you might say. Then without confidence, your brand suffers, and without confidence, by definition, your business and your own sense of personal worth will suffer. So we all need it, and we all have it to various degrees. If we lose confidence, and there are many ways we can lose it, and I alluded to some earlier where, you can be the most confident person in the world, but something happens that completely surprises you in terms of the result. So it may well be something as innocuous as a team meeting where suddenly somebody says something about you or to you about the business that you'd never realized, and that one piece of feedback really gnaws at you, and it becomes what I call one of the, there's 10 types of crooked thinking, and it becomes one of those types of crooked thinking that saps your confidence and drains your ability to lead a group of people. It could be something more major where you get a very poor performance review. It can be something as if, and I said this earlier, that if you've always been successful on strategy A and suddenly strategy A doesn't work anymore, but you continue to do it and your results get less and less, then you begin to look at your own level of confidence in, well, am I any good? What's happening? This used to work for me. And you become so absorbed with these negativities that you don't look for a way out. And then we get to, well, how do you get it back? Well, the way you get it back is that rather than becoming a critic, and lots of us are very good at being critics for ourselves, and in Microsoft, one of the values is all around being self-critical. And I will say on record, and have in many offsites and stuff like that, I don't think Microsoft people need any help to be self-critical. I think you do need help to become more. I think you need more help to become self-aware. So you've got to change the internal critic to be more of a coach, and the way you do that is being much more aware of the kind of negative thoughts that run through your head. So, for example, you might be somebody that says always or never. I never get it right, or this always happens to me. But you've really got to look at that and think, well, does it always happen? Am I never right? And you begin to replace the more negative thinking with more constructive, positive thinking. So that's just one way of getting yourself out of a hole that we all dig for ourselves sometimes when things don't go right, and rather than looking them in the cold light of day that I could have done more prep work for that presentation, actually I didn't deserve a great review, or that feedback in the meeting, yeah, it was justified, I've got to work with that and learn more about it. Instead of looking at that, we internalize it, we beat ourselves up, and we begin to hemorrhage confidence.
Yeah, and I guess by doing that, using our inner critic negatively instead of as a coach, then we reinforce those beliefs which then might sabotage us in the future.
Exactly, and that's a good word, sabotage, because we do sabotage ourselves. I think one of the other things I just want to say is that on confidence, a lack of confidence, you can blame everybody, but ultimately the only person that's going to get you out of the situation and stop sabotaging, who you are is yourself. Could I just say a little bit about being overconfident?
Yeah, actually, it's funny that idea was circling in my head, because I am one of those who tend to be overconfident. So help us, please.
Well, it's just, sometimes you can have the corollary of not being confident, which is you're tremendously confident, which is okay for some occasions, but it can lead to taking unhealthy risks. They've found that people who are very, very confident, actually, they did this very interesting experiment in Las Vegas in casinos and stuff, and they found that somebody who's very, very confident will take more risks and ultimately lose more money than people who are a little bit less confident about the outcome, but more pragmatic about how much they're prepared to bet. So there is a limit to how confident a person should be, because sometimes being overly confident can also move into a narcissistic kind of personality, where you ignore everyone else about you and think that everything you say and do is the only way possible. And of course, when you do that, you lose followers, and unless you're Steve Jobs, you can have a fairly damaging impact on the overall company bottom line. So I
Right.
think overconfidence can be as difficult or as negative as a lack of confidence. There's always a sweet spot in these things.
Yes, I guess balance is the key here, and overconfidence can also lead to a self-sabotage situation.